Jaya Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopi Janavallabha Jayo Girivaradari Jayo Girivaradari Jashodanandana Prajarana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jayadada Madhava Jayo Kunjabihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Guru Maharaj Guru Maharaj Guru Maharaj Jaya Patite Pavan Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Shri Mother Ki Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. So start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधव श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम्. So, well, everyone, welcome to the class today. So, it's on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 22. So, I'll just read the Sanskrit for the first shloka and then we'll carry on with the rest. श्रीसुक उवाच एवं विप्रकृतो राजन् बलिर्भागवतासुरा विद्यमानोऽपि अव्यनात्मा प्रत्याहवाखिलवं वचः. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sukadev Goswami said, O king, although the Supreme Personality of Godhead was superficially seen to have acted mischievously towards Bali Maharaj, Bali Maharaj was fixed in his determination, considering himself not to have fulfilled his promise. He spoke as follows. So, this is actually happening, as you all know, you've gone through the previous chapters. So, Bali Maharaj has offered Vamandev 3 steps of land, and Vamandev has spanned the whole universe in 2 steps. And he is saying to Bali Maharaj, okay, where are we going to put the 3rd step? So obviously Bali Maharaj wasn't expecting this, and he's actually been tied up by the ropes of Varun. So this starts off the chapter by saying that Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it looks like he acted mischievously towards Bali Maharaj, asking for 3 steps of land, but then expanding his body to huge size and actually taking everything from Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj himself, even in this condition, was fixed in his determination. So the next verse says, Bali Maharaj said, O best personality of Godhead, most worshipable for all the demigods, if you think my promise has become false, I shall certainly rectify matters to make it truthful. I cannot allow my promise to be false. Please therefore place your third lotus footstep on my head. So you can see Bali Maharaj, even though he's supposed to be king of the demons, they're so dharmic that he doesn't want his word to become false. He doesn't want it to show that he's speaking of falsehood. So can you see even the king of the demons are better than regular people now? In the age of Kali, if someone told you that by lying you would save your house or your wealth or something like that, people would do it within an instant because they think, "Oh, what is a lie? My house is worth more than that. My this is my cars, my etc. is worth more than that." Bali Maharaj had kingship over the whole universe, and he still didn't want to allow his promise to be false. So it said Bali Maharaj could understand the Lord Vamandev, the pretense of Vamandev, and he'd taken the side of the demigods and come before him as a beggar. And he said, although the Lord's purpose was to cheat him, Bali Maharaj took pleasure in understanding how the Lord will cheat his devotee to glorify the devotee's position. So, since the Lord had already covered the entire universe with 2 steps, one might ask how Bali Maharaj's head could actually be sufficient for his third step. Bali Maharaj's point of view was he thought that the possessor of the wealth must be greater than the possession. Therefore, even though the Lord had taken all of his possessions, the head of Bali Maharaj still wasn't taken. So he said, this will be the place where the Lord's third step can be. So the next verse, Bali Maharaj says nicely, I do not fear being deprived of all my possessions, living in a hellish life, being arrested for poverty by the ropes of Varun, or being punished by you, as much as I fear defamation. So look at all of these things, deprived of all his possessions, living a hellish life, arrested. He's the emperor of the universe, and he's been arrested, or being punished by the Lord as much as he feared defamation. So you can see why was Bali Maharaj thinking like this? Because in his family, Prahlad Maharaj is there, who's so famous across the entire universe of the demons and the demigods. And he's so famous, so he has a reputation to behold. And so he's saying, look, I don't want this defamation on my character, that I actually told a lie, that I didn't fulfill my promise. So Bali Maharaj continues, although a father, mother, brother, or friend may sometimes punish one as a well-wisher, they never punish their subordinate like this. He's saying like Bali Maharaj has been treated, even a father, brother, mother, or friend would never punish someone like this. But because you are the most worshipable Lord, I regard the punishment you've given me as most exalted. So, Prabhupada writes that punishment meted out by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is accepted by the devotee as the greatest mercy. And he quotes Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-8. One who seeks your compassion and thus tolerates all kinds of adverse conditions due to the karma of his past deeds, who engages always in your devotional service with his mind, words, and body, and who always offers obeisances to you, is certainly a bona fide candidate for liberation. So, devotee knows that all so called punishment by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is only in his favor to correct the devotee and bring him to the right path. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes, the punishment awarded by the Supreme Lord cannot be compared even to the greatest benefit awarded by one's material father, mother, brother, or friend. So Krishna is the eternal Father, and because he can see past, present, and future, and he knows us for lifetimes on lifetimes, the Lord is seated in our heart. So he's always seeing our behavior. So he knows what our habits have been throughout all of our lives. So you might find that the Lord is like keeping some devotees poor. Whatever they try to do, they can never get wealthy. Other devotees are very, very wealthy. And there's so many different situations the devotees may be in, different situations. It looks like the Lord is acting in different ways towards one and different ways towards the other, making one suffer in a particular way, but making someone else suffer in a different way. And you may think, well, what's the Lord doing? But he's doing it on a case by case basis because he knows if I punish the devotee like this, he will stop doing whatever nonsense activity he's doing and move towards being more Krishna conscious. So this is what the Lord actually does. We are, after all, in a prison. This material universe is a type of prison. So we are here to be reformed. And unfortunately, we have been going through this reformation for so many millions of births, and it's still not complete. So the Lord knows lifetime after lifetime. So he will give us suffering in that way to stop us from engaging in sense gratification and those habits. So slowly throughout our lives, we start to come more to the point of just wanting to engage in the Lord's service and understanding the futility of these other things in material world, sense gratification, etc. And it's a very gradual thing. Like case in point, myself, when I was younger, I used to love playing basketball all the time. And I was so much into it, like 24 hours a day, that's all I'd be thinking about. And then after university, I was playing one day and I actually got injured. And after then, I could never play basketball like that again. And it took so long to get that idea that I want to play basketball, I want to play basketball out of my head. And it's funny, I could have seen myself had I not been, had got injured that way, carrying on playing even to this day. And so the Lord is separating out, thinking, look, you're going to go too much towards this avenue, which is not good. Okay, I'll put a stop to it early. So carrying on with the translation. Bali Maharaj says, since your lordship is indirectly the greatest well-wisher of us demons, you act for our best welfare by posing as if our enemy. Because demons like us always aspire for a position of false prestige, by chastising us, you give us the eyes by which to see the right path. So my Guru Maharaj always used to say, he goes, if I praise you, you will learn nothing. It won't really have much effect on you. Say, Shabash, well done. Because if I chastise you, one, you'll always remember that lesson for the rest of your life. And that one chastisement will bring about more change in you than if I were to praise you. And trust me, growing up, we got so many chastisements. And it's funny, years later, it's the chastisements that you remember. It's the corrective actions that your Guru Maharaj does, that the seniors do, that actually shapes you and forms the banks in which you judge your spiritual life. So it's like the banks of a river, stop the river overflowing. So the chastisements and the corrections are those things which form the bank, which keeps that river running towards the Supreme Lord and not deviating here, there, and everywhere. So it's the chastisements that you always remember more. So Bali Maharaj is saying here that the Lord is the greatest well-wisher of the demons because they're always getting chastised by the Lord. It looks like the Lord is their enemy, but this is actually the best thing for them because it says the Lord acts as their well-wisher by depriving them of their positions of false prestige. By false prestige, one is misguided. So the Supreme Lord takes away this. And it's going to be a theme going through this chapter. But Maharaj continues. Many demons who are continuously inimical towards you finally achieve the perfection of great mystic yogis. Your lordship can perform work to serve many purposes. And consequently, although you have punished me in many ways, I do not feel ashamed of having been arrested by the ropes of Varun, nor do I feel aggrieved. So it's said that the demons, some of them are not at all devotees. They achieve that same position as the mystic yogis do, because the Lord actually kills them. You've seen many, many times that the Lord will kill a demon, and the soul will come out of the demon's body and go and merge into the Supreme Lord. And mystic yogis will do this tapasya for so many lifetimes in order to get that. But the demons are able to achieve it only if they're fortunate enough to be killed by the Lord. And someone asked a question once. They were like, well, isn't it easy to just become a demon then? Because then the Lord will kill you and you don't have to spend a lot of time doing devotional service and this and that. And I go, look, you will never become enough of a demon that the Lord will have to come to kill you. The Lord will just have some other arrangement to actually kill you. He doesn't need to come down personally. So you're taking a risk. Better stick with the path of devotional service. So this is where Bali Maharaj is saying that those demons who got killed by the Lord get the same destination as the mystic yogis. So Bali Maharaj continues, my grandfather Prahlad Maharaj is famous, being recognized by all your devotees. Although harassed in many ways by his father, Hiranyakashipu, he still remained faithful, taking shelter at your lotus feet. So, Prahlad Maharaj was such a pure devotee of the Lord, and he got so much hassle from his father. His father tried to kill him in so many different ways, yet he never gave up depending on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's very much glorified for this, even being 5 years old. Can you imagine a child 5 years old? They can't do anything pretty much. They're dependent on their parents. Yet the parent is trying to kill Prahlad Maharaj. So you can see how much faith Prahlad Maharaj had in the Lord. And Bali Maharaj is following in those same footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj. And he remained fixed in his devotion to the Lord, despite the Lord having punished him. And Bali Maharaj is actually one of the Mahārājans. So you might be thinking, oh, Bali Maharaj is bad, the Lord punished him. The Lord punished him, but he is actually considered one of the Mahārājans. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, verses 20 and 21, the verse actually says, I'll read the translation, Lord Brahma, this is Yamaraj speaking, so he says, Lord Brahma, Bhagwan Narad, Lord Shiva, the four Kumars, Lord Kapil, the son of Devahuti, Swayambhuv Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, grandfather Bhishma, Bali Maharaj, and Sukadev Goswami. And Yamaraj says, and I myself know the real principles. And so these are the Mahārājans, they're called. So these are 12 Mahārājans, and they know the real religious principles. So Bali Maharaj actually is in there. So Prahlad Maharaj is in there, and also Bali Maharaj is in there. So you can see Bali Maharaj is an absolutely exalted devotee. But the Lord still punished him, and we'll see why later. So Bali Maharaj carries on. What's the use of the material body which automatically leaves its owner at the end of life? And what is the use of all one's family members who are actually plunderers taking away money that is useful for the service of the Lord in spiritual opulence? What is the use of a wife? She is only the source of increasing material conditions. And what is the use of family, home, country, and community? Attachment for them merely wastes the valuable energy of one's lifetime. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the personality God Krishna advises, Sarva Dharman Prityaja, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, give up all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. The common man doesn't appreciate such a statement by the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he thinks that during his lifetime His family, society, country, body, and relatives are everything. Why should one give up one of them, any one of them, and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? This is what Sri Prabhupada is saying. But from the behavior of great personalities like Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, we understand that surrendering to the Lord is actually the correct action for an intelligent person. So if you look at it, Prahlad Maharaj took shelter of Lord Vishnu against the will of his father, Hiranyakashipu. And Bali Maharaj took shelter of Vamandev against even the will of his spiritual master, Shukracharya. And this is the thing. You have to look at it. This is Bali Maharaj's own spiritual master who had actually revived Bali Maharaj after he had gotten killed in the fight against Indra. He used a Sanjeevani mantra to actually revive Bali Maharaj. Then he instructed him to do so many of these yajnas to actually become Indra, because Indra is a position attained because you've done, I think, 100 of these. I think it's Ashwamedh yajnas. Correct me if I'm wrong. But when they do these yajnas, after 100 of them, you become Indra. So it was Shukracharya that was actually guiding him to this. Yet when Vamandev came and asked him for these 3 steps of land, and he was about to pour water, Shukracharya stopped him, saying, "No, no, this is the Supreme Lord Vishnu. He will take everything away from you." And Bali Maharaj said, "Oh, so the Lord Vishnu that you all worshipping and now has appeared before me to take alms from me. Isn't this the whole point of sacrifice, to give to Lord Vishnu?" As actually said that Shukracharya cursed Bali Maharaj at that point, that very quickly you think you're very clever, very quickly you'll lose all of your wealth. And then it says actually Shukracharya shrunk himself down to the size to fit in Bali Maharaj's pot, the pot that he was pouring out the water to do the sankalp, and was blocking that pot. So Bali Maharaj couldn't actually pour the water. And Bali Maharaj said, "What's happening?" So Vamandev said, "I have the solution." So he took a straw and he poked it through that hole. And this poked out Shukracharya's eye. So you can see the Lord, even Shukracharya was thinking, I've done so much effort to try and make the demons in charge of the universe, and this Bali Maharaj is going to give it all away. So you can see Vamandev even went against the will of his spiritual master. And one sadhu said very nicely, the Guru's job is to connect you with Krishna. When Krishna is achieved, the Guru should step away because he realized the job is done. I have connected. So you can see in this instance, Shukracharya managed to connect Bali Maharaj to Lord Vishnu, but then he kept interfering. So this was very nicely said by one Acharya, that the Guru steps away and lets the Lord meet the devotee. So Sri Prabhupada writes that we are very interested in society, friendship, and love. But what are they? Those in the garb of friends and relatives merely plunder the hard-earned money of the bewildered soul. So this is a very interesting point I read, and I did discuss it with my Dharmapatini, and she seemed to laugh when she heard it. Sri Prabhupada writes, everyone is affectionate towards his wife and attached to her. But what is his wife? The wife is called Stri, which means one who expands the material condition. Sri Prabhupada writes, if a person lives without a wife, his material conditions are less extensive. But as soon as one marries and is connected with a wife, his material necessities increase. And so this is the case. You see someone living as a bachelor, as soon as they get married, okay, now you have to have a house, now you have to do so many things, have a car, have all these kind of things. So it all comes about after marriage, typically. That's what Sri Prabhupada is saying. And Sri Prabhupada continues, the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one's life's illusions thinking in terms of I and mine. So this is the thing. It's not that these things are bad, but when you think that these things belong to you, that they are yours, that is actually bad. And you see later, there's a very key difference between the demigods and the demons in how they view the opulences of the world. You may think, well, hold on, the demigods are just as much trying to be in heavenly planets as the demons are. Because let's say the heavenly planets are really, really nice, and the, I don't know, hellish planets or wherever the demons are staying is not very nice. So they want to get out of a horrible situation. So both parties want the rule of heaven and the universe. So the demigods and demons are equally there trying to enjoy. But there's the key difference between the demigods and the demons, and we'll come to that later. So Bali Maharaj continues, my grandfather, the best of all men, Prahlad Maharaj, who achieved unlimited knowledge and was worshipable for everyone, was afraid of the common men in this world. Being fully convinced of the substantiality afforded by the shelter at your lotus feet, he took shelter of your lotus feet, against the will of his father and demoniac friends, who were killed by your own self. Only by providence have I been forcibly brought under your lotus feet and deprived of all my opulence. Because of the illusion created by temporary opulence, people in general who live under material condition, facing accidental death at every moment, do not understand that this life is temporary. Only by providence have I been saved from that condition. So, Shurupal writes, as described by Bali Maharaj, Lord Vishnu was actually not the enemy of the family, but the best friend. So, this is very important now. So, this principle of friendship has already been stated. Yashyaham anugrami harishye taddanam shane. The Lord bestows special favor upon his devotee by taking away all his material opulences. And when I heard this the first time, there's actually a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam in one of the cantos. I can't remember it now. I read it when I was very young, and there the Lord said that if when someone becomes my devotee, the first thing I do is take away all his opulences. So immediately the first thing the Lord does is make the devotee takes away all his opulences and makes the devotee poor. He goes, then the devotee tries again and again to achieve those opulences again. And the Lord just keeps taking them away, taking them away. He goes, until the devotee of the Lord actually realizes that Krishna is actually his only shelter. And he goes, when the devotee realizes that, then the Lord gives him everything. And this is where the example of Sudama is given. Sudama was in an incredible poverty-stricken situation. And you can see he's a great devotee of the Lord's personal friend. So he actually went to visit the Lord, and there Jay and Vijay happened to be back, having finished their three births. And when Sudama came, this is the funny thing. One speaker said very nicely, he goes, Jay and Vijay had finished all three births and been killed by the Lord three times. So when they just gotten killed, as I think Shishupal and Dantavakar, the Lord is still on the planet Earth. He's in Dvarka. So Jay and Vijay just reincarnated straight into Dvarka, and they're the gatekeepers. And so Sudama comes and he says, and he's dressed very, very scantily, and he's got very fateh clothes. The clothes have got holes in them. He's not a rich person by any measure at all. He's completely poverty stricken. And the people in Dwarka know Lord Krishna as literally the king. And Dwarka, the Yadus, were the most powerful dynasty. And they're seeing the Lord's friends are all powerful kings and rich princes, etc. So when and the demigods even are coming to visit the Lord. So when this Rama Brahman comes, Jay and Vijay at the gate, he goes, I'd like to see Krishna, he's my friend. And they thought for him, they look at him thinking, how is this person the friend of the Lord? And they thought to tell him just to, buzz off to go. And then they thought, hold on, the last Brahmins that came looking for darshan for the Lord, we stopped them from coming in. We ended up coming down for three more births as demons. You know what? Let's just go and double check with the Lord. to make sure that this Brahma is actually who he says he is. So Jay and Vijay went in to check, and even before Lord Krishna, as soon as Lord Krishna heard the name Sudama, he immediately ran and actually greeted Sudama at the door. And it said Sudama, Krishna gave him nice clothes, seated him on the throne, everything like that. And he served him very nicely and gave everything to him. And he asked Sudama, "How are you doing?" And obviously, friend, you don't want to tell your friend that you're not doing very well. So he's like, "Yeah, Krishna, I'm doing great. I'm doing fine." And his wife was so clever. She had given him some chipped rice to take, and she made sure that she got chipped rice from various houses. So when Krishna opened the offering, he could see this is not even from one house. The wife must have had to beg from multiple houses. So after Saddam, when Saddam was leaving, Krishna goes, "Okay, can you give me back the clothes that you're wearing? Can you give me back all these things that I gave to you?" So Saddam never actually asked the Lord for anything. And as he was coming away from Dvaraka, he thought, you know what, this is the Lord's done the right thing. I didn't want to even ask him anything. I only came at the wife's insistence. All I'm doing, looking forward to, is going back to my village, to my tree, and chanting the Lord's holy name and meditating on the Lord. That's all I want. And it's literally at that point in time where Sudama was like, I don't want anything from the Lord. I just want the Lord. That's it. Then the Lord gave him all incredible opulences. So this is what it is. The Lord is never going to give opulence. And it's said later that the Lord will never give a devotee opulence if that opulence is going to take him away from the Lord. And this is where Bali Maharaj saying that it's a great mercy that the Lord has taken away his opulence, because it's actually bringing him to the right platform. So, so Shrupa actually writes that everyone should fear the so-called society, friendship and love for which he works so hard all day and night. As indicated by Bali Maharaj, every devotee in Krishna consciousness should always be afraid of the common man engaging in pursuing material propensity. Such a person is described as Brahmata, a madman, chasing the will-o-wisp. Such men do not know that after a hard struggle for life, one must change his body with no certainty of what kind of body he will get next. Those who are completely established in Krishna conscious philosophy and who therefore understand the aim of life will never take to activities in the materialistic dog race. But if a sincere devotee somehow does fall down, the Lord corrects him and saves him from gliding down to the darkest region of hell. Now, Srila Prabhupada said this very nicely. This is a wonderful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada always used to quote it. Adanta gopir vishatam tamishram puna punas charvita charvinana. The materialistic way of life is nothing but the repeated chewing of that which has already been chewed. Prabhupada used to say this because it's like the chewing gum. Once you chew it, all the flavor's already gone. So you spit that chewing gum out, then somebody else picks it up and starts chewing it. This is what we're doing. We're chewing the chewed. There is no flavor in there left even. Yet we continue to keep chewing it. And you find as you go through your life, the same things that used to make you incredibly happy as a youngster, they start to lose their flavor and they stop making you happy. But Krishna consciousness is the other way around. Like when you started your Krishna consciousness, the things that you used to not get happiness out of much, as you advance in your Krishna consciousness, those things make you more and more and more and more happy. But this is the sign that progression is happening in that way. So, Srila writes, although there is no profit in such a life, people are enamored of it because of uncontrolled senses. Because of uncontrolled senses, people fully engage in sinful activities by which they get a body full of suffering. Bali Maharaj had appreciated how the Lord had saved him from such a bewildered life of ignorance. He therefore said that his intelligence had been stunned. Stabdamatir na buddhyate. He could not understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead favors his devotees by forcibly stopping his material activities. So when he saw the Lord do this and become so big, he became stunned, like, wow, the Lord has done this. So Sukadeva carries on the next verse. Sukadeva Goswami said, O best of the Kurus, while Bali Maharaj was describing his fortunate position in this way, the most dear devotee of the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj, appeared there, like the moon rising in the night time. Then Bali Maharaj saw his grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj, the most fortunate personality, whose dark body resembled black ointment for the eyes. His tall, elegant figure was dressed in yellow garments, he had long arms, and his beautiful eyes were like the petals of a lotus, and he was very dear and pleasing to everyone. Because you can imagine at this point, all the demons are there, and Varmandev is there. The demigods must be there as well. When Prahlad Maharaj is appearing, he's dear to both parties. Being bound by the ropes of Varun, Bali Maharaj could not offer befitting respect to Prahlad Maharaj, as he has done before. Rather, he simply offered respectful obeisances with his head, his eyes being inundated with tears and his face lowered in shame. So, Prabhupada writes, since Bali Maharaj had been arrested by Lord Vamandev, he was certainly to be considered an offender. Bali Maharaj seriously felt that he was an offender before the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he knew Prahlad Maharaj wouldn't like this. Therefore, Bali Maharaj was actually ashamed and hung his head. So, carrying on. When the great personality Prahlad Maharaj saw the Supreme Lord was sitting there, surrounded and worshipped by his intimate associates like Sunanda, he was overwhelmed with tears of jubilation. Approaching the Lord and falling to the ground, he offered obeisances to the Lord with his head. Isn't it amazing for Prahlad Maharaj? He gets to see the Lord first as Lord Vishnu when the Lord appeared to catch him when he was falling from the mountain. Next time he saw the Lord was as Lord Nrsingadev, and then he gets to see the Lord again as Vamandev. And so Prahlad Maharaj is ecstatic. Prahlad Maharaj said, O Lord, it is your lordship who gave Bali this very great opulence of the post of heavenly king, and now today it is you who have taken it all away. I think you have acted with equal beauty in both ways, because his exalted position as King of Heaven was putting him in the darkness of ignorance. You have done him a very merciful favor by taking away his opulence. Sripad writes, it is said, Yasyam anugrami harishe taddanam shane. It is by the mercy of the Lord that one gets all material opulence. So this is very, very important. So we think it's our own effort. Oh, I'm so intelligent. That's why I'm great at this particular job, and that's how I'm able to get all this money. Or I'm so clever in my business deals. I took advantage of this, I did that. But this is not the reason. It's Shabbatam says, it is by the mercy of the Lord that one gets all material opulence. But if such material opulence causes one to become puffed up and forget the process of self-realization, the Lord certainly takes all the opulence away. So this, Shubha said, the Lord bestows mercy upon his devotee by helping him to find out his constitutional position. So you can see if that material opulence is going to cause you to become puffed up and think that you're doing it and forget the process of self-realization, the Lord will never let that happen. He will never let you become materially opulent. This is the difference between the worship of the Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, or the worship of the Lord Shivji, Parvati. The worship of Lord Shivji Parvati will be incredibly opulent, even though Lord Shiva himself stays in a cemetery, just stays in Kailash Parvat. He doesn't have any opulence, but his followers are incredibly opulent, where Lord Vishnu has all the opulence, and his followers usually don't have much opulence. And this is the reason. If the devotee is not fixed up well, and when he gets this opulence, he becomes puffed up and will forget the process of self-realization. The Lord will just take all that opulence away. The Lord, Kashrubal carries on, the Lord bestows mercy upon his devotee by helping him find out his constitutional position. For that purpose, the Lord is always ready to help devotee in every way. But material opulence is sometimes dangerous because it diverts one's attention to false prestige, giving one the impression that he is the owner and master of everything he surveys. Although actually this is not the fact. To protect the devotee from such a misunderstanding, the Lord, showing special mercy, sometimes takes away his material possessions. So, if the devotee becomes arrogant, thinking that he's actually the master of everything, I'm the master of this house, this is my house, that's my car, this is my possession. In reality, that's not even the case at all. This is a house which belongs to the bank, and I have a mortgage. That's a leased car which belongs to the lease company. We don't even own the stuff anymore. And yet we think we're owner and master of leased and mortgage things. It's amazing. It's Kali. But this is the attitude. If devotee has this mentality, the Lord will actually take all of these things away. And this is like the mercy of the Lord. Because this false prestige, because everything actually belongs to the Lord. So, carrying on. Material opulence, your Bali Maharaj says, is so bewildering that it even makes the self, this is Bali Maharaj, sorry, saying, material opulence is so bewildering that it makes even a learned self-controlled man forget to search for the goal of self-realization. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, the Lord of the universe, can see everything by his will. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, Sri Prabhupada writes in the purport, the words Ko Vichashte Gatim Atmano Yata indicate that when one is puffed up by the false prestige of possessing material opulence, he certainly neglects the goal of self-realization. This is the position of the modern world, because so-called scientific improvements in material opulence, people have entirely given up the path of self-realization. So you can see that in this day and age, people are less and less interested in a relationship with the Lord. And this is where things like the pandemic happen, and suddenly everyone realizes, oh my God, we're not invincible. Oh my God, anything can happen. And since then, you've seen a spike in even people going to the holy dhams. There's been so many more people going to the holy dhams than ever before. In fact, they're incredibly packed. The dhams are so packed, it's almost you feel like, oh my God, I wish I could go back to how it was before, because at least then the devotees can get around easier. But even in this condition, it's still good that even the general people are coming to the holy dhams and getting that purification. So Sukadeva Goswami considered, O King Parikshit, Lord Brahma then began to speak to the Supreme Personality Godhead within the hearing of Prahlad Maharaj, who stood nearby with folded hands. But Bali Maharaj's chaste wife, afraid and aggrieved at seeing her husband arrested, immediately offered obeisances to Vamandev, and she folded her hands and spoke as follows. So although Lord Brahma was actually speaking, he had to stop because Bali Maharaj's wife, who became very agitated, wanted to say something to the Lord. So she started to speak, saying, Srimati Vindhyavali said, O my Lord, you have created the entire universe for the enjoyment of your personal pastimes. But foolish and unintelligent men have claimed proprietorship for material enjoyment. Certainly, they are shameless agnostics, falsely claiming proprietorship. They think they can give charity and enjoy. In such a condition, what good can they do for you, who are the independent creator, maintainer, and annihilator of this universe? So it's amazing. This is such a good purport. Sri Prabhupada writes that Bali Maharaj's wife, who was most intelligent, she actually supported the Lord arresting her husband. And she accused him of having no intelligence because he had claimed proprietorship of the property of the Lord. Such claim is a sign of demoniac life. So you can see Bali Maharaj's wife supported the Lord arresting him. And she said he had no intelligence. So if your wife ever says that to you, you know, even Bali Maharaj's wife used to say it to him. Well, at least I said it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's saying that he had no intelligence because he claimed proprietorship, meaning ownership of the universe, which doesn't belong to Bali Maharaj. It belongs to the Supreme Lord. And this is the sign of demoniac life. And Srila Prabhupada writes, this now is the difference between the demigods and the demons. So Srila Prabhupada writes, although the demigods, who are officially appointed by the Lord to manage the universe, are also attached to materialistic enjoyment. This is what I always used to see. The demigods, if you read about their pastimes and the activities, like Indra, so many times he would go and like he went and slept with Ahalya, who's a wife of Gautam Muni, and ended up getting cursed. I mean, literally, Gautam Muni cursed him as he was going. And this repeatedly happens, not just one time, so many times this has happened. Brihaspati, who's the guru of the demigods, got attracted to his brother's wife, who was pregnant at the time, and actually tried to have sex with her. So you can see that I never used to understand. Oh my God, these demigods, they seem to be, even though they're in those positions, they seem to be addicted to materialistic enjoyment, just like the regular people. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here, although the demigods who are officially appointed by the lords are attached to materialistic enjoyment, the key difference is they never claim to be proprietors of the universe. They know that the actual proprietor and owner of the universe is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the qualification of the demigods. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. He goes, but the demons, instead of accepting the exclusive proprietorship of the Supreme Lord, claim the property of the universe for themselves and say, this is mine, that is yours. They say, this part I'll give in charity, the rest I'll keep for my enjoyment. So this is actually in the chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita, where it says, the demon says, thus so far I have acquired so much money and land. Now I will add more and more. In this way, I will be the greatest proprietor. I will give in charity and I will enjoy. So even the demon, you think, oh my God, demons don't give in charity. No, no, they do. Because they think, look, I own this. I will give in charity. I am so magnanimous and my fortune will grow and grow. That's demoniac mentality because they're thinking that they the ones that are owning it. So Bali Maharaj's wife accused Bali Maharaj that saying, although the Supreme Lord arrested him, showing him extraordinary mercy, Bali Maharaj offered his head to the Lord, but according to his wife, he's still in ignorance because the body itself didn't even belong to Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj's own body didn't belong to him. So how could he have offered this to the Lord? So the body doesn't even belong to the Lord himself. So Bali Maharaj couldn't even have given his body because his body already belonged to the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada writes, this was quite shocking for me to read. Srila Prabhupada, thus Vindhyavali, Bali Maharaj's intelligent wife, prayed that her husband be released by the Lord's causeless mercy. Otherwise, Bali Maharaj was nothing but a shameless demon, specifically described as Takta Hreyastvad Avaropita Kritir Vadada, a foolish person claiming proprietorship over the property of the Supreme Person. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying, because he claimed proprietorship over it. In the present age Kali Yuga, the number of shameless men who are agnostics, disbelieving the existence of God, has increased, trying to defy the authority of the Supreme Lord. So-called scientists, philosophers, and politicians manufacture plans and schemes for the destruction of the world. They cannot do anything good for the world, and unfortunately, because of Kali Yuga, they have plunged the affairs of the world into mismanagement. Can't we see factually that is happening right now? Wars starting for no reason. For no reason, just simply going and starting wars, causing so much disturbance in the world. You can see these are out of control politicians. These are the so-called leaders of the world that are behaving in this way because they think I own these things. I am the proprietorship. I am the Lord of everything I survey. And you could see that in these people's behaviors, these type of Kali Yuga leaders. And that's why the world is like this. So this is, remember, Srila Prabhupada's writing this 50 years ago. Half a century ago, Srila Prabhupada's writing this. And has the world changed much since then? No, it's the same. It's the same wars going on, but in different places, same politicians doing everything. So you can see Kali Yuga is like this. Lord Brahma said, O well-wisher, master of all living entities, O worshipable deity of all the demigods, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, now this man has been sufficiently punished, for you have taken everything. Now you can release him. He does not deserve to be punished more. Bali Maharaj has already offered everything to your lordship without hesitation. He's offered his land, the planets, and whatever else he's earned by pious activities, including even his own body. Lord Brahma says, by offering even water, newly grown grass, or buds of flower at your lotus feet. Those who maintain no mental duplicity can achieve the most exalted position within the spiritual world. Bali Maharaj, without duplicity, has now offered everything in the three worlds. Then how can he deserve to suffer from arrest? So, Prabhupada writes, in Bhagavad Gita is stated, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, everyone knows this. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind that if an unsophisticated person with devotion and without duplicity offers at the lotus feet of the Lord a little water, a flower, a fruit, or a leaf, the Lord accepts it. Then the devotee is promoted to Vaikunta, the spiritual world. So this is actually incredible. If you look at this, you offer without duplicity a little water, flower, then you get promoted to the spiritual world. And this reminds me actually, there was a katha in one of the Puranas. There's a mouse, and he'd gone into a temple in Bharat, and the ghee wick was going out. And the mouse didn't know this. He just saw that there was ghee in there. He thought, I want to eat this ghee. So as he went to dipped his snout into the ghee, one of his whiskers caught fire. And he actually pushed his snout down more, and the ghee wick came up and lit. And because his whisker had caught fire, the mouse completely caught fire and died in that way. When the mouse left his body, he suddenly found himself in the spiritual world. And he asked, they go, Lord, how has this happened? I haven't done any spiritual activity. And the Lord actually said to him, he goes, look, you lit a jyot for me. And because of that, you've actually been promoted to the spiritual world. He goes, no, I was just trying to eat the ghee. And he goes, well, regardless, because of your actions, a jyot was actually lit to me. And it's unduplicity. He didn't have any duplicity. And the mouse didn't. He wasn't even trying. He just ended up doing it. And there was even a thief. I remember, if I remember this correctly, there was someone who was trying to steal something from one of the temples in Bharat. And it was raining that day. And he had trekked in on his feet. Wasn't wearing any sandals. And he had trekked in on his feet mud from the outside into the temple. And he stole one of the deity's items and was running out of the temple. And as he was running, because the floor, it was wet, he actually slipped and broke his neck and passed away. And he found himself in the spiritual world. And he was like, what's happened? I goes, I was trying to rob a temple. How did I get into the spiritual world? And he asked the Lord, and the Lord said, you did such wonderful service. He goes, what did I do? And the Lord said, on in my temple, the marble had cracked, and the clay on the bottom of your feet from outside, as you were walking, you'd patched it up. That clay had gone into the gap. And I thought, see, look, my devotee is fixing my temple. And the Lord had promoted the devotee back to Vaikunta. So you can see, Lord Brahma is saying, this is Prabhupada writes from this Bhagavad Gita, without duplicity, offer a little water, flower, fruit, or leaf. The Lord accepts it and the Lord is promoted. So Lord Brahma reminded the Lord of this and requested that Bali Maharaj had given everything in the whole world, not just a little bit of water and stuff. and that he should actually be released. So this is where Lord Valmandev starts to talk. And says, Supreme Personality of God has said, my dear Lord Brahma, because of material opulence, a foolish person becomes dull-witted and mad. Thus, he has no respect for anyone within the three worlds, and even defies my authority. To such a person, I show special favor by first taking away all his possessions. While rotating in the cycle of birth and death again and again in different species, because of his own fruitive activities, the dependent living entity, by good fortune, may happen to become a human being. Thus, this human birth is very, very rarely obtained. So, Sri Prabhupada writes, this is very, very important. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully independent. Thus, it is not always a fact that a living being's loss of all opulence is a sign of the Supreme Lord's mercy on him. So to repeat, it's not always that if someone loses their wealth, oh, it's the Lord's mercy on him. The Lord can act in any way he's like, Prabhupada's saying. He may take someone's opulence, he may not. And there are varieties of life forms, and he treats them each according to their circumstance. So this is what it's saying. The living entity enjoys material nature and enjoys the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil amongst various species. So we shouldn't always think of someone lost all their money or as Krishna's arrangement. No, no. The Lord will do it for his devotees as a special favor, but it's not always that it's always the Lord doing it. Because we are actually suffering our results of our previous bad karma as well. And as we become more and more purified, those effects of those bad karma start to diminish. So, Srila Prabhupada actually writes, therefore, every human being, especially one belonging to a civilized nation or culture, must be extremely responsible in his activities. He should not risk degradation in the next life because the body will change. And we have to be very careful to see the proper use of life is the purpose of Krishna consciousness. The foolish living entity declares freedom from all control. Think, I'm not being controlled. No one controls me. I control me. But factually, we're not free. We're fully under the control of material nature. So we've got to be very, very careful in all of our activities in Krishna consciousness. So the Lord carries on. If a human being is born in an aristocratic family or higher status of life, if he performs wonderful activities, if he is youthful, if he has personal beauty, a good education, and good wealth, and if he nonetheless is not proud of his opulence, it is to be understood that he is especially favored by the Supreme Lord. So it's not that anyone who is in a aristocratic family or youthful or have beauty or education, they're favored by the Supreme Lord. No, no, because loads of people have those things, but they're not favored. But if they have all those things and yet they're not proud of their opulences, that they're very, very humble, it's to be understood that you're especially favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because you would think that person who has all of these things will be the most arrogant person because he's possessing all of these things. So Prabhupada writes, when in spite of possessing all these opulence, a person is not proud, this means he is fully aware that all his opulences are due to the mercy of the Supreme Lord. He therefore engages all his possessions in the service of the Lord. The devotee knows very well that everything, even his body, belongs to the Supreme Lord. Many times, even devotees, we're very quick to give credit to ourselves when something good happens. Oh, this thing good happened. Ah, well, I'm very clever. I did this, I did that, I did that. And when something bad happens, oh, Krishna, what did you do? So we do the opposite. When we do something, when something good happens in our life, it's all us. When something bad happens, oh, it's all Krishna. Actually, Srila Prabhupada is saying it's kind of the opposite. Whenever something good happens, it's Krishna. And whenever something bad happens, it's either we've done something bad in our previous life or the Lord is punishing us because we're doing something in our present life which is not leading us to Krishna consciousness. So actually, it's the complete opposite. When something great happens, it's all Krishna's arrangement. But when something bad happens, in some way or other, it's our fault. So a person, most of the times, is responsible for all of the evil that happens to him in his life. So if one lives perfectly in Krishna consciousness, it's to be understood that he's especially favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the conclusion, Srila Prabhupada is very interesting. The conclusion is one being deprived of his wealth is not to be considered the special mercy of the Lord. If one continues in his opulent position but does not become unnecessarily proud, falsely thinking he's the proprietor of everything, this is actually the Lord's special mercy. So, as devotees, we should always think all this success, all everything that's good that's happening to me is the mercy of the Lord. Even everything I'm doing in Krishna consciousness. This is another thing. Many times when devotees do something incredible in Krishna consciousness, some great kirtan, some big program, a lot of service, very quick to give ourselves credit for that. Oh, I did that. Oh, people come to you and say, "Oh, you did such a wonderful kirtan." You're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I've been practicing for the last 5 weeks," or something. "Oh, yeah, you worked very hard in service." "Oh, yes, Prabhu." No, 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 no. And inside you're thinking, "Yes, I did very great. I did wonderful." And my mother always says to me, she goes, never think that you do any service, it's you doing it. The Lord is allowing you to do it, and your Guru Maharaj and the Lord is engaging you in doing it. You're not doing anything. What can you do? This is what my Guru used to say. He goes, what can you do? You can't do anything. The Lord is engaging you. So this is the attitude of a devotee. He just continually keeps giving credit to the Lord. So the Lord carried on, although aristocratic birth and other such opulences are impediments to advancement in devotional service, because they are causes of false prestige and pride, these opulences never disturb a pure devotee of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, it's not always that the devotee of the Lord is not opulent. Prabhupada writes, devotees like Dhruva Maharaj was given unlimited material opulence, and he had the special mercy of the Lord. Once Kuver wanted to give Dhruva Maharaj a benediction, and Dhruva Maharaj could have asked him for any amount of material opulence. Instead, he begged Kuver that he might continue in his devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada writes, when a devotee is actually fixed up in his devotional service, then there's no need for the Lord to deprive him of material opulences. So the key is to become fixed in your devotional service. Then the Lord doesn't need to take away your things because giving you these things is not going to make you go away from Him. Because ultimately, that's what the Lord wants. He wants you to come back to Him. And Bishop Prabhupada writes, and this is actually kind of referring to Srila Prabhupada himself. If a special devotee is meant for preaching, but does not give up his family life or material opulences to take to the service of the Lord surely takes away his material opulences and engages him in devotional service. Thus, the pure devotee becomes fully engaged in propagating Krishna consciousness. So I asked this question once to Jayadvaita Maharaj. He was staying at our house many years ago. And I'd asked him for some blessing that I want to become financially successful. This was when I was a child. I said I'd like to become successful in the future so I can use money to serve the movement of the Lord. And Jay Virthamara said very nicely, he goes, Shri Prabhupada used to think like that as well. And he tried again and again to become financially successful. And the Lord made his businesses fail one after another, because Shri Prabhupada was meant for something more. He was meant to preach. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is saying. If a special devotee is meant for preaching, but does not give up his family life, the Lord takes away all his material opulences so that he can do that. So the Lord carries on. Bali Maharaj has become the most famous amongst the demons and non-believers. For in spite of being bereft of all material opulences, he is fixed in his devotional service. Although bereft of his riches, fallen from his original position, and defeated and arrested by his enemies, rebuked and deserted by his relatives and friends, although suffering the pain of being bound, and although rebuked and cursed by his spiritual master, Bali Maharaj, being fixed in his vow, did not give up his truthfulness. It was certainly with pretension that I spoke about religious principles, but he did not give up religious principles, for he's true to his word. Srila Prabhupada writes, Bali Maharaj passed the severe test the Lord put before him, and this is further proof of the Lord's mercy to his devotee. The Supreme Personality of Godhead sometimes puts the devotee to severe tests that are almost unbearable. And Srila writes, one could hardly even live under the conditions forced upon Bali Maharaj. But the fact that Bali Maharaj endured all of these severe austerities and tests is actually the mercy of the Lord. So it said that the Lord not only tested Bali Maharaj, but gave him the strength to tolerate that test. So this is the mercy of the Lord. When even when the Lord tests you, the Lord will give you the actual strength to get through that test. And the Lord continued, because of his great tolerance, I have given him a place not obtainable even by the demigods, and he will become king in the heavenly planets during the period of the Manu, known as Savarni. So this is a special mercy of the Supreme Lord. Even if he takes away the devotee's material opulences, the Lord immediately offers him a position which even the demigods cannot dream. And Prabhupada writes, there's many examples of this in the history of devotional service. And one of them is the opulence of Sudama Vipra. So you can see we covered that example already. So the Lord actually, normally the Lord favors Indra, but even by taking Bali Maharaj's opulences away from him, he made Bali Maharaj the next Indra. So Vamandev continues, until Bali Maharaj achieves the position of the King of Heaven, he shall live on the planet Sutal, which was made by Vishvakarma according to my order. Because it is especially protected by me, it is free from mental and bodily miseries, fatigue, dizziness, defeat, and all other disturbances. Bali Maharaj, you may now go there and live peacefully. So, Bali Maharaj actually went. So, carrying on, sorry. The Lord is saying, O Bali Maharaj, Indrasen, now you may go to the planet Sutal, which is desired even by the demigods, and live there peacefully surrounded by your friends and relatives. All good fortune to you. On the planet Sutal, not even the predominating deities of other planets, what to speak of ordinary people, will be able to conquer you. As far as the demons are concerned, if they transgress your rule, my disc will kill them. O great hero, I shall always be with you and give you protection in all respects, along with your associates and paraphernalia. Moreover, you will always be able to see me there, because there you will see my supreme prowess. Your materialistic ideas and anxieties that have arisen from your association with the demons and Danavas will immediately be vanquished. So this is the end of the chapter. So just before we finish, there's something very, very interesting that I found. So Bali Maharaj is in Sutalok. Now, Bali Maharaj is the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, great grandson of Hiranyakashipu. So there's interesting katha that comes in the Valmiki Ramayana, Uttarakhand, where Ravan is actually going round trying to conquer everyone and to prove that he is super powerful and the most powerful demon. So Ravan's based in Lanka, but you have to remember that Ravan at that time, there were so many other great demons around at the same time. So Kartavirya Arjun was there, who was an actual incarnation of Sudarshan Chakra. So Harshi, hold on, I better plug my laptop in because it's going to die. Just 1 second.
if anyone does have any questions, you can raise your hands, and then I'll pick on you as and when. Okay, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, nice narration and so interesting. I have one question.
Sorry,
We'll leave the questions at the end.
we're not finished yet. Just
Yeah.
1 second, we're not finished yet.
But I heard that somebody said you can ask questions.
No,
So,
not
No,
yet.
not yet.
Okay, so Ravan was there, and Ravan wanted to test his strength by going and fighting all of the other the Virya Arjun, who's actually the incarnation of Sudarshan Chakra. So there's actually a pastime where Narad Muni was glorifying Lord Vishnu, and he was saying to Lord Vishnu, "Oh, you killed so many demons, you're always victorious." And Sudarshan Chakra was there. And Sudarshan Chakra actually said, he goes, "Look, why are you praising the Lord? The Lord uses me to kill all the demons. I'm the one that kills the demons. Because Lord Vishnu's not killing them, I'm doing it." So Sudarshan and so the Lord says to Sudarshan, "Oh, so you think you can defeat me?" And Sudarshan said, "Okay, well, let's find out." So Sudarshan actually incarnated as Kartavirya Arjun, and Lord Vishnu incarnated as Parshuram. And they actually ended up fighting each other, and Parshuram was victorious. So Ravan was around at the time of Kartavirya Arjun. So he went to try and fight him, and Kartavirya Arjun was doing some puja, and he was doing puja at Gangaji. So Ravan blocked the flow of Gangaji, and Kartavirya Arjun came and very quickly defeated him. So Ravan thought he managed to get away with his life only because Bulastin, when he came and actually asked, said, "Look, please, he's my grandson. Please release him." So next, Ravan, after this embarrassment, Ravan thought, "Well, I've got to go and do something big now because if the word has got around, I got defeated by Kartavirya Arjun." So he thought, "Let me go to Sutalok and conquer Bali Maharaj." Because he thought Bali Maharaj is a very famous demon and he's like great grandfather to Ravan. So he thought, "Let me go and conquer Bali Maharaj." So he went down to Sutalok with Prahast and many of his other generals. He then went and they saw a palace there, and there was many rooms there, and they were going and they couldn't see any person in any of these rooms. And then Prahast went into one room, and they say he saw sitting on a throne a personality who was incredibly effulgent and ferocious. And he was sitting there and he was describing him. He was very, very handsome, but he was very ferocious. And he was standing there with a gada. And Ravan came before him. And when he saw this personality, he became immediately afraid. And the personality said to him, he goes, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Why have you come?" He goes, "Well, I've come to see Bali Maharaj." He goes, "Oh, so you think you can challenge, you're here to challenge Bali Maharaj, are you?" And he said it in such a way, Ravan became afraid, and he goes, "Well, if you think that's what I should do, then I'll go and do that." Because the personality was so fearsome in front of him. And then that personality standing at the gate said, "Okay, fine, you can go in." So Ravan immediately quickly goes past this personality and goes into the court of Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj recognizes who he is and says, "Ah, Ravan, you're here." And he goes, "Oh, Dandavat Pranam, I hear you're a great ancestor of mine." And he goes, "I heard you've been imprisoned by Lord Vishnu here. I have come here to free you." That's what Ravan said to Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj started laughing. And he goes, "Oh, you've come here to free me, have you?" And he goes, "Ah, this is very incredible." He goes, "Actually, you know what? You can free me in a minute. If you just come here and have a look at something, I've got a gift for you." And so he takes Ravan and they go outside the palace, and there he sees this massive, huge mountain with rubies the size like of Ravan's head in this mountain. And Bali Maharaj goes, this is a gift for you. If you can take this and lift it and take this mountain away, I will agree. You can free me from this place. So Ravan goes and tries to lift the mountain because he thinks, yes, I'm very strong. So he wraps his arm around the mountain, tries to lift it, can't lift it. And then all his like generals are looking and saying, "Oh, try again, try again." So he goes and tries to lift the mountain, and the mountain collapses on him, and he's there in a pool of his own blood. He can't lift it. And Bali Maharaj goes to him. He goes, "You know this mountain? Should we go back a little bit distance, and you can see what this mountain is from a distance?" So they go back a little bit, and he said, "Hold on, this looks like an earring." And then Bali Maharaj said, "Do you know what this is?" He goes, my great-grandfather Hiranyakashipu was fighting Lord Nrsingadev, and one of his earrings fell into Sutalok. This is actually that earring. And he goes to Ravan, how weak you have become. In your previous incarnation as Hiranyakashipu, this was your earring. Now you can't even lift this earring. He goes, you are so weak that you can't even lift this earring. He goes, how do you hope to defeat Lord Vishnu, who killed Hiranyakashipu, who was wearing this earring? He goes, you should actually surrender to Lord Ram. So you can see Ravan saw this and he thought, and just left. And he goes, hold on, before you go, let me tell you about this person at the gate that you were so afraid of when you came in. He said, that's actually Lord Varman, Lord Hari. He's that same Nrsingadev, and he's guarding my front gate. You're only allowed to come in because he let you in. So Ravan, he goes, see if he will challenge you. So he went past there, and Varman Dev actually looked at Ravan, and he said, okay, I will keep Lord Brahma's word, and I'll leave you untouched for now. Lord Ram can actually handle you when the time comes. So Lord Varman actually made himself invisible. So I thought this is an amazing pastime from Ramayan regarding Ravan and Bali Maharaj's interaction. So I'll end the class there. I'm sorry for taking a little bit extra time, and invite any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Gurusevak Prabhu. So the first question, Jay Mataji, would you like to ask your question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, such a wonderful class. But I don't know whether it's a comment or a question even, maybe. Bali Maharaj, such an exalted devotee. He could do no wrong. He kept his vow. He was so truthful. He had all such wonderful qualities about him. But yet his wife saw one thing bad in him, that he wanted to become the master of the universe. And I was just thinking, how was that she saw that one thing when he had so many good things as well? I don't know. How?
I don't want to generalize, but typically wives are very good at knowing the faults of their husband. There's a joke actually. One person went to a sadhu and he said, Sadhu, how can I find out my faults? And he goes, just do one thing. He goes, go home and find one fault with your wife. He goes, she'll find a fault with you, your family, your dynasty, everything after that. So it's typically the nature of one's partners that they're able to identify the weaknesses in you that maybe other people don't see. So with Bali Maharaj, you have to remember, even Vamandev said near the end, that he actually had gotten these materialistic ideas and anxieties which had arisen from his association with the Danavas. You have to remember, Prahlad Maharaj is born in the family of the demons, but he is an exception to the rule. The demons in general are demoniac. So they're proud, arrogant, conceited, all this kind of stuff. And can you imagine Bali Maharaj is leading these personalities? So there's loads of them around. He doesn't have devotee association other than Prahlad Maharaj. So you can see by his association with those personalities, Jaise Sang, Vaise Rang, he would have got that kind of attitude from them, which is why when Prahlad Maharaj came, he had his head hung down because he was feeling ashamed, because he knows that's not how Prahlad Maharaj would have acted. So you can see that even someone as great as Bali Maharaj, if he falls into bad association, the vichar, the ideas can actually change. So we should be extra careful because we're not Bali Maharaj. So I hope that kind of answers the question.
Thank
Okay,
you. It
thank you,
does.
Prabhu.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Janakanya Mataji, would you like to ask your question, please? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I think there was a gentleman who was before me, no?
No, he's coming next.
Okay, Haribol. Yes, Prabhu, it's beautiful story, it's amazing, and it goes well in the demigod's world, I should say, along with with Vamanadev. But Bali Maharaj's story shows devotion. It's not just about rituals, and we living in the material world, we fall back into our ritualistic. We could not necessarily a good ritual. It's not devotional ritualistic. It's often a repeat pattern of what we know best, we've learned, and so on. So it's about. I find this whole story is about surrendering ego, our ego. How do we do it? He could have said no to Vamanadev, but he chose to give up everything. That's an intense surrender. Are we really surrendering when we say, oh, devotees are so good, they're surrendering? My question is, surrender a sign of weakness or ultimate strength in spiritual growth? I think that's the message from the Shastras. But I think it's not possible for us to be as pure as that. I don't think. And another question would be, does true devotion demand sacrifice, or does it thrive on love? Those are the bits. There's so much in this talk you gave, Prabhu. I can go on and on. It's so nice. And how can we truly surrender without letting go of I, me, and mine? That is the bit I battle with all the time. And also I battle with it amongst, devotees, with me and them. So how do we be inclusive and say, it's we, us, and, sort of be inclusive.
Yeah, instead of I and mine.
Mine and mine, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, I think there's multiple questions there. I'll try and remember. But I think surrender ultimately does need sacrifice because essentially we have to give up so many things. So according to, I think it's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Prabhupada quotes, there's 6 items to surrender, Sharanagati. So one of them is to give up things which are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. So to give up things which don't please the Lord. So these things, there has to be sacrifice there. There has to be that giving up of things which are unfavorable to the Lord, and then accepting things which are favorable, and seeing the Lord as one's ultimate protector. So this surrender and sacrifice kind of goes hand in hand. And I would say that there's no love without sacrifice, because when you love someone, you're willing to do anything for them, even if that means sacrificing. In fact, some of the biggest love stories is people willing to give up families, giving up family relations for love. So there's sacrifice there. And that is even true of Lord Krishna and the gopis. They were willing to give up family, honor in society, everything. They were simply willing to give all that up at a drop of a hat for Krishna. And my father was saying he was reading from, what's that? Govinda Leelamrit. And he was saying that the gopis weren't thinking what time it was when they were doing their activities, whether they're in the kitchen, whether they're feeding their children, if they're doing something else. Whenever Krishna would play the flute, they would just drop everything and go to the Lord. So this is love and sacrifice go hand in hand. And the more that you're able to sacrifice for the person you love, it shows that you love them even more, that you're prioritizing them. And I think this idea of I and mine is very much something which it's a thing I think as you develop more and more in Krishna consciousness, the more you start to see that the things around you are actually just all belonging to Krishna anyway. That you may, it's like, for example, of a house. Before I had this house, I don't know how many other owners had it. I don't know the person that built it before me. And after me, I don't know all the other people that will have it. Yet while I own this house, supposedly own it, it's my house, Prabhu. You have to act in a particular way when you come to my house. We have so much arrogance about the way people should behave in our house, when it's just not even belonging to us. In fact, this is where, look on this planet, it's like someone walking over to a park and say, well, I own this little bit of grass. That's basically what we've done with the planet. People are born in a particular country. Well, I own this country. And then this is my country. Then they try to invade other countries and this and that. So this I and mine is the biggest problem. When we start to understand that everything belongs to Krishna, that's when we can actually appreciate the gratitude. That's where the gratitude for Krishna actually starts from. And this is where the start of bhakti is, understanding actually everything that I'm enjoying, in fact, even the air I'm breathing, is belonging to Krishna. So the beginning of bhakti is to be grateful. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. To be grateful to the Lord for these things. That's the beginning part of bhakti. And ultimately, real bhakti is not in Vedic bhakti or the rituals or even our sadhana and everything we're doing is to keep us in the mode of goodness. This is Vedic bhakti. My father was talking about this to me today. He was saying that this whole Vedic bhakti side of things is not the real bhakti. The real bhakti begins when you actually fall in love with Krishna, and then everything is to do with him only. That is Raganuga bhakti. When you're doing all of these principles and things, very good, and we have to do them because that's keeping us on the platform of the mode of goodness, so we can actually do devotional service. But when you actually fall in love with Krishna, and then you start to see everything in relation to Krishna, that's the real start of bhakti. So love like that is progressive. The more you fall in love, the less it's I and my, and it's you. That's what it is. Love is about the others. It's not about you. Otherwise, it's called selfish love. You love me, but you just want stuff for yourself. So I hope that kind of, in a roundabout way, answers the question.
Yeah, and I think the phrase you used was chewing the chewed, sums it all up, really,
Right.
because we fall back into pattern. We use this awareness, Krishna consciousness, being aware of what's happening and how you should be, but we soon fall into this pattern and
I think this is where, throughout our lives, the Lord will make it so that these things which used to be, oh my God, I love this, I can't live without it. Eventually, then you're like, well, I can actually live without it because I've got something superior. This is where the higher taste is. And although it's not possible for us at this stage to be 24 hours a day Krishna consciousness, you will find the more you advance, the more portion of your day will end up becoming Krishna conscious. And you'll even desire then in your spare time, oh, well, what else is there that can I do? Can I read a little bit more? Can I do some kirtan? Can I do other spiritual things? And this is where you realize that some advancement is coming. When the old desires that you used to have, you get detached from them and you're going towards the spiritual one. My father always says it like this. He goes, if you got an elastic band and you tie it to one thing and then you stretch that band, when you let go, it always come back to that original point, which is our original sense gratification. But if you attach that band to Krishna, then if you stretch it out, when you flick it away, it'll always come back to that Krishna consciousness. So all we're doing is taking the elastic band, instead of attaching it to sense gratification, attaching it to Krishna consciousness. So the more spiritual we are, the more we'll know that we'll always, if we get to that point where we're always coming back to doing spiritual stuff automatically, then advancement is happening there. It's not, it becomes less of a chore. If you go, oh, I've got to do my 16 rounds today, I've got to do this. It's no, I want to. I want to do my Gayatri's. I want to do my 16 rounds. I want to do. That's when you know, okay, there's some sort of advancement happening.
Yeah. And I think if you think of doing a mindfulness drill, and notice when I pops up, redirect it to the task you're doing, which is a devotional service to Krishna, and practicing gratitude, focus on what's being served.
Yes.
And try task-oriented speak, like swap my project for the project or our project, which is we all know the answer, but sometimes ego creeps in so quickly. So it's having to be aware and try your best to make some changes. Yeah. Haribol.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, Prabhu, was it yourself that was wanting to ask a question first?
Yes, Prabhu, yes.
Okay, if you want to go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Earlier, Gurusevak Prabhu was telling about, if you have got wealth and you get puffed up, then Krishna takes it off. Okay. And if you are not puffed, then, he continues. You can enjoy it and as well as use it for the service of the Lord. Now, my question here is, we find a lot of people who have wealth till they die, and it keeps increasing till their death. And does it mean that they are not puffed up? And does it mean that because Krishna is not taking away their wealth, on the other hand, he lets it multiply? Does it mean they are extremely good?
When it comes to opulence, it doesn't just mean wealth. If you look at the actual
everything.
verse,
No, they are self-sufficient in every way. They enjoy everything till their last breath.
well, I mean, I'd like to have an example of people who that is, because I've never heard of anyone enjoying right till their
For
end.
example, you can take the Queen who just passed away. She had everything till the last, right? And she lived a very long life. Nothing was taken away.
I think if you look at you can always judge from a mile away and think everybody's happy. But if you walk in their shoes, you'll see that it's actually very different. Anuragi's likes the royal family. Well, she did when the Queen was here, at least. She used to follow her life a lot. And she was saying that the Queen actually suffered a lot in her life. And when she's looking at biography and stuff, she goes, she was actually a very controlled person, meaning other people were controlling her. She wasn't, it was a life of sacrifice, she calls it. So it may look like these people are very happy, but are they really happy? I mean, look at things like someone like Steve Jobs had all the wealth, literally all the wealth in the world. He was incredibly rich, famous, and he got a crippling disease and died early. So you can see that just because people have some wealth, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's happiness there. This is the thing, opulence. So we think of opulence as things like youthfulness, beauty, intelligence. And now you're seeing so many of these actors and things. They come out, I've got this crippling disease, I've got this disease. There's people like these famous people like dying at a very, very young age. So you can see that these kind of occurrences are happening more and more now. Every time you open the news, you see, oh, this celebrity died, this rich person's got this disease, this person's got that. And it's more and more prevalent everywhere in the world. And one of the reasons is this, because everyone thinks that the material world is theirs to enjoy. And in the Shastra, it says, everyone from Lord Brahma down to the insect is actually suffering. It may look like from your perspective that they're doing very well. Give an example. For a person in Bharat living in a slum with no shower, no house, he may think Amarnath must be living like a heavenly king because he's living in the West with a nice house and he has a roof over his head and he has a car and he has a shower. But to Amarnath, he's not thinking living like a king. He's looking at the Queen and thinking, oh my gosh, he lived like a king. So do you see? It's all comparative. So for the person that thinks, oh, this person must be doing great, go and ask that person how much he thinks, oh, this person must be. And everyone's thinking the other one's happy. And the truth is, nobody's happy. Isn't there a saying, Dukhiya sab sansar, that everyone's actually unhappy because this place is difficult.
Something?
Dukkalokam, right? So they say.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got to put the context in there. When somebody's a devotee and he gets wealth and has pride, it's the devotee's wealth the Lord takes
Yeah.
to give him a transcendental life. Whereas people are not devotees, the Lord gives them more wealth, so they're trapped in their wealth. And they're suffering in it, but there's no way out of it.
Like
Wealth
it said,
doesn't mean solutions.
said in the purport, it's not that always that the Lord is going to take away wealth to give
Yeah.
mercy, or that every time wealth is taken away, it's the Lord's arrangement. It's not because
Right.
Prabhupada's saying that we are in the material world and we meet with difficulties in every form of life. So the Lord says for his special devotees,
Devotee.
takes away their wealth.
And
Like
that's why Yudhishthira said, those who worship you, how come they become poor? Whereas those who worship demigods, they get opulence. And Krishna
Right.
said, that's the first thing I do.
I take away the
But
opulence.
that's a hindrance to progress spiritually like that. So put it in the context, it's the devotees who are trying to be devotees, then Krishna helps them by removing that. But the devotees who are already situated properly, like Arjun and Yudhishthira, to them, whether they have opulence or not, they actually, are devoted to Krishna. And they were successful after the war, whereas the rest of them were wiped out, They survived.
Mhm. So suppose somebody loses the job, he should think that Krishna is doing a favor for him, a devotee example.
I mean, it depends because
Yeah.
again, not always that the Lord is taking away opulence. Because this is what I'm saying.
Right.
It's not about you blame the Lord when something bad happens, when something good happens, you pat yourself on the back. It can be your own. If you're terrible at your job, if you're going there,
Yeah.
you're coming late, you're not doing your work, and then you say, Krishna, you took away my job. No, you took away your job because you were bad at your job. So it's not always that Lord Krishna is the one doing it. There's so many times when with our own karma, our own action, which is causing the result. And in fact, I would say that all suffering is usually caused by our own action. It's only to the Lord's devotees that he gives sometimes special mercy. And many times my Guru Maharaj used to say, people used to say to my Guru Maharaj, oh, Krishna's testing me, Maya's testing me. And my Guru Maharaj would say, nonsense. He goes, who are you that Krishna will test you? He goes, this is not
Right.
a test. This is just your own weakness. He goes, when Maya tests you, you will know. That's what Krishna said. When Krishna tests, you will know.
Yes.
So
Oh,
pray
okay.
that Lord Krishna never tests because so it can be quite difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Can I go to Akash Prabhu next and Sadhu Mataji after that? Akash Prabhu, Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Haribol Prabhuji. Thank you, Gurusevak Prabhuji. Prabhuji, half of the answer I've got it from Amarnath Prabhu's question. So just a bit on that one, like material opulence. As you have mentioned, that initially God takes all the material opulences and then later on gives back when we reach to such a position that we have a full remembrance of God. So I'm just speaking in regards of like our acharyas and our six Goswamis ji. So of course they were really rich at that point of a time and they gave up everything and they have done so much for us and for everybody, but they never took it back, that material opulences. Maybe at that time it was coming back to them, but they never took it back. They took a sannyas and they have given everything for us. So in that regard, like, is it practically possible in today's life as well? Because it happened like many, many years back. So, and you say like when such person, when again the remembrance come, God gives them back.
No,
Should we
it's not
accept it?
necessarily that. So look, it's not. Look, I think there's a bit of a misconception that everyone has that everyone's meant to be a millionaire or everyone's supposed to be some sort of billionaire. If it's not, in order to get wealth, this is the thing people don't understand. Karmically, in order to get wealth, there's many ways to do it. One is to give charity. Two is to build hospitals. Three is to dig wells. By doing actions which benefit people in mass, That's how one gains good karma in order to get wealth in one's next birth. And when you committed some aparad or offense, you will suffer in the next life. So in the Karshikatha, there was one merchant who, in his previous life, he had been thirsty and he wanted to drink water at a pond, and there was a cow and its calf there that were about to drink. And he pushed the cow and calf away and drank himself. And the sadhu told him, because your last life you did this. He goes, but because of all the charity you've done, you got an unrivaled kingdom. But because of this offense, you can't have a child.
Okay.
So it's not that every single person is going to be a millionaire and something stopping you from doing it. Whatever your previous karmic actions is, that you will do to get. And ultimately, it's from that level. So if you're meant to get, I don't know, 100,000 and Krishna takes that away, then once you are properly situated, if the Lord desires, he can give you even better than that, if he desires. And if it will benefit you, it's not that the Lord just going to be like, okay, here's 100,000 or 2 million back, you know. Whereas if you weren't meant to get anything like that, and all you're meant to get is a minimum wage job, if the Lord takes that away, then he'll give you back another job. That's like you understand, it's not wealth, getting wealth is not the goal. And remember, in reference to the 6 Goswamis, one person came to see one of the 6 Goswamis. I think it might have been Jiva Goswami. Or maybe, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it Rupa Goswami?
Rupa Goswami.
Rupa Goswami. So he came there and he came to Rupa Goswami and he goes, oh, my family is very poor, very poor. Please, can you give, have you got some mantra or something you can give me that I can get wealth? So this Rupa Goswami, they've given up. They were like billionaires at that time. They've given all of it up and they're living in a Bhajan Kutir Vrindavan. So in the small corner of the Bhajan Kutir, there was rubbish where Rupa Goswami used to keep. So Rupa Goswami went into that rubbish, rooted around, and picked up a touchstone. This touchstone, if you touch it to metal, it'll turn to gold. He gave it to this person, goes, here, take this, touch it to any metal, you'll get gold. The person went, yeah, thank you, Rupa Goswami. And as he's walking away, he thought, hold on a minute. Rupa Goswami is living in a hut, but he was keeping this touchstone with the rubbish. He must have something better than this touchstone. So he went back to Rupa Goswami and goes, why did you give me this? What have you got that's better? And he goes, that is the correct question. He took the touchstone and threw it. He goes, now sit here. And he instructed him in Krishna consciousness. So what Rupa Goswami and them got, there's no amount of material wealth that even equates to a percentage of that. So much so, Rupa Goswami is keeping a touchstone in the rubbish in his kutir.
Plus, you know, Hamarudan Radha, Sri Radha, Sri Radha. Their deities are famous in Jaipur. Radha Govindev, isn't that opulence? You know, Radha Madan Mohan, you know, Radha Damodar, Radha Gopinath. All those deities are their wealth. You know, we always think wealth, cash, you know, bitcoins and stuff like that. But it is what you value most. And they valued Radha Krishna, the deities. That was their wealth, you know. Yeah.
So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Sadhvi Mataji, would you like to ask your question? Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for tonight. I'm thinking about the verse, I believe is verse 20, where the wife, the Bali Mahārāja wife, start talking. And I'm thinking, maybe I have misunderstood, because for me, it sounds like she's just saying it just to please Lord, because in my understanding, in Shastra, it says your husband, you have to consider your husband as a Lord and respect your husband and obey your husband and so on and so on. And here she's talking about he's not good, he's not intelligent, he's done wrong. You know what I mean? Criticizing her husband. So what I'm wondering, is it, my understanding, is it that she's just saying that as a respect to Lord, but she really wants to save her husband? Or does she really criticize her husband? Really? You know what I mean? Thank you.
Well, if you look at it from her perspective, if she's the wife of Bali Maharaj and he's the king of all the demons, he's achieved proprietorship over all of heavenly planets, and then she sees that a small dwarf has come to ask something and then manifests a form higher than the whole universe and suddenly takes away all the opulence just like that. She then, just like Bali Maharaj said, he was stunned that this could happen. Isn't it conceivable that she suddenly got the awakening thinking, oh God, we thought we were the ones who were going to own the universe, but actually the real owner is the Lord. So you can see, even from her perspective, the realization would have dawned on her. Not that maybe she didn't know the whole time, that it would have dawned on her that, God, I thought my husband was the ruler of the whole universe and he was the most powerful. But there's someone who's 100 millions of times more powerful than him. So that's a realization that would have dawned, seeing this gigantic form of Vamandev, and then seeing her husband who had conquered Indra, who had defeated Indra, being bound up in front of her. She would have seen, actually, he's not the greatest, he's not the all-powerful, but the Lord is actually the all-powerful. So it could have been a realization to seeing, actually, yes, you are wrong to do this because the real owner is the Supreme Lord. Because even the demons know, and it's not unknown to the demons that Lord Vishnu always favors Indra. He always favors Indra and the demigods. So the demons know this, but they have this arrogance that no, we want to be the controllers, we want to be in charge. That's what the demoniac mentality is, to think that they are the proprietors and the owners. But because obviously Bali Maharaj is saintly king, and his Dharmapatni would similarly have similar qualities, and they would have been obviously taught by Prahlad Maharaj growing up. So you can imagine Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj himself is a Mahajan. So you can imagine he's not going to pick a Dharmapatni who's not incredibly advanced spiritually. And it's not like Bali Maharaj wouldn't have known that his grandfather Prahlad Maharaj, the Supreme Lord, came actually to save him. So it's not that they weren't already devotees of the Lord. It's just in that association of the rest of the demons and having to lead it, Bali Maharaj was basically fighting for his clan, essentially, his family, his lineage, although he doesn't share the qualities they do. But and the same way with the Dharmapatni, she must have been saintly. So she would have seen the mistake of her husband. It's not that the husbands don't make mistakes. And in the Vedic culture, they're all perfect. Because if you just read Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll see there's so many sages, so many saintly kings that have made mistakes. And their Dharmapatnis and other ministers and things like that tell them, hey, you're going wrong. So it's not unheard of that the Dharmapatni would correct. Even Ravan, Mandodari was telling her time and time again, release Sita, what are you doing? She's going to be caught, you caught your demise. Ravan just didn't listen. So it could have been that she may have been telling him, I don't think this is the right idea. Like I said, this is me speculating because I haven't read it anywhere. But I'm saying it's not out of the realm of possibility of her to actually have that disagreement already with him. She would have wanted to save his life for sure, but they realized that the Lord didn't kill Bali Maharaj. He's not the person he's not like Hiranyakashipu where the Nrsimhadev came and killed him. The Lord just simply asked for 3 steps. If she knew if Bali Maharaj was a bad person, the Lord would have just ripped him apart like he did to Hiranyakashipu. So she realized this is the Lord that we've always been praying to. We must be wrong in what we've done. And so they're taking it as a correction, as a punishment. So I don't believe it was duplicitous on her behalf, although the desire to, that's why it says she was agitated and she wanted to talk even before Lord Brahma had finished speaking.
Can I ask another question, please?
Anji.
Did I understood right that Bali Maharaj going to take the position of Indra in the next?
Yeah.
So what will he be Indra or position of the Indra?
Indra is just a position. So
Okay.
the name of the demigod who is currently Indra is called Purandara. That's the demigod right now who is currently in the post of Indra. Indra means the king of the Devas. So
Okay.
every Manvantara, I think it changes. So this particular Manvantara is Vaivasvat Manvantara. So the Manu is Vaivasvat Manu. So in the future, there's a Manu that's going to be Savarani Manu. In that Manvantara, it will be Bali Maharaj, who will be
Okay.
the Indra. And he'll be a special Indra because the Lord is specially protecting him. And in fact, I remember reading, sorry, I know it's getting super late, but in Brihad Bhagavatam, when Indra is asked about how the Lord feels towards him, Indra says the Lord always disrespects him. He goes, he doesn't feel nice way towards Indra there. He goes, even when Vamandev is there, and even though he is called Upendra, meaning the younger of Indra, Vamandev doesn't give much respect to Indra there himself. So you can see every different Indra has different relationships with the Lord because they are, after all, personalities. So they have the good things they've done, the bad things they've done. So yeah, but Bali Maharaj will be the Indra next time.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Hare Krishna.